Hey everybody, welcome into Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I'm Fran Duffy, and on my left, I've got Eagles legend Mike Quick. On my right, we've got Eagles legend Ike Reese, and in front of this Eagles football team, we have got a huge opportunity after a big win last Tuesday night against the Washington football team. We got to start on offense, Mike Quick. You talk about this rushing attack, 175 yards in 7 straight games. First team to do that since the 1985 Bears. What do you love about this run game? Just outstanding once again on the ground.
I just love the way this team runs the football. If your number one rusher rushes for 131 yards, and Jordan Howard, the thumper, he rushes for 69 yards, how do you stop that? And these guys up front, they're so good, they're so dominant. I can't even imagine that there's a better run offense in the National Football League, and it's all because of this offensive line and their ability to mash people.
And we've talked about it, just the variety we see in this run game. And I thought early on, Ike, we saw a lot of perimeter runs, outside zone, those sweep plays, the tosses. Then second half, you get Jordan Howard inside zone, right downhill. What's that like as a defense, having to deal with that change in pace?
Well, I tell you, it's demoralizing, right? You know you're coming in, you're dealing with an offense that has an established identity. They want to pound the football at you. And as a defense, you're saying, okay, it's mano a mano. Let's put a hat on a hat, and we're going to go into this fight, and let's see if we can win it. And Washington early getting hit outside, chasing sideline to sideline, trying to keep up with Miles Sanders and his explosive runs. The Eagles have the ability to go thunder and lightning. They hit you with the thunder in the second half. They're coming straight at you. And once you get this offensive line leaning on you, man, you start making business decisions out there as defenders. What I mean by that, you start running around blocks and avoiding guys like Jordan Mailata coming downhill at you. So it can be very demoralizing as a defense to have an offense really dictate to you that we're going to run right at you and there's nothing you can do about it.
You know, we've talked about this run game. How about the passing game? What kind of challenge lays at the feet of Jalen Hurts? For more on that matchup here against the New York Giants, here's Greg Cosell with some enemy intel.
The Philadelphia Eagles offense faces the New York Giants defense in a rematch of a Week 12 victory by the Giants. Now, I studied this Giants defense in pretty good detail, and they are not necessarily an easy defense to play against. A couple of things really stand out. Number one, they do not play a lot of man coverage. They're much more of a zone-based defense. But there's a lot of disguise and late movement to get to those zone coverage concepts. And that's always a challenge for a young quarterback. When you see a lot of movement after the snap of the ball, it messes with your mind a little bit and it slows down your decision-making process. That's something the Giants did really well against a veteran quarterback like Dak Prescott a week ago. And one of the things you'll see from the Giants, even though they don't play a lot of man, they do pressure. And they're zone pressures more often than not. And what often goes with those zone pressures are trap concepts. They're very, very good at this. They'll have their corner to the side of a blitz, not run with a receiver, but rather open up to the inside and sit and wait for routes to come to him. They're very good at this. It's very difficult to recognize if you're a quarterback. Dak Prescott struggled with it at times, and he almost got C.D. Lamb killed on a throw where he did not recognize the trap corner. This is something that's always been tough, even for veteran quarterbacks to deal with. This is a defense that plays a lot of different personnel. They play a lot of different people in the secondary, and they move them around. But even though the Giants' record is not real good, this is not an easy defense to play against, and it will absolutely be a challenge for the Philadelphia Eagles offense.
So great breakdown there from Greg, illustrating those trap zone coverages. And Mike Quick, the difficult part of that for the quarterback is it requires both a pre-snap read and a post-snap read. You got to check to make sure the picture didn't change too much. I think Jalen Hurts has been really effective in that pre-snap phase. I thought we saw a great example of that last Tuesday night.
And we certainly did. And really, it begins in practice. You got to understand what teams like to do in certain situations. Well, this is a 3rd and 6 situation. They really need it here. Jalen Hurts goes to the line of scrimmage, and he understands that they're crowding the line of scrimmage. They're crowding the box. There are 7 defenders ready to put pressure on him. What does he do? He changes the play. You watch him reset his offense. You see the wide receiver in a tight split. He goes out wide so that he can set up the screen. He sets up the screen to the right side to Jalen Reagor, and he gets blockers out in front of him. And it's just a perfect example of the pre-snap, understanding what they're trying to do to you, and coming up with a better play to handle what they're doing on that side of the ball. He's becoming so good at recognizing what's happening on the other side, getting his team into a better play, and this really helped to seal the football game.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by Pepsi, your official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, joining me this week here on Tape Study is Eagles left tackle Jordan Mailata. Jordan, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Fran.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of your biggest blocks here from the season and also some of your teammates' biggest blocks. And I want to start with one of my favorites. This goes back a few weeks against the New York Giants. You're going to pull here up to the play side linebacker. And I guess first things first, as an offensive lineman, when I've talked with linemen in the past, they'll say, look, my family, they don't always see the base blocks. They don't always see the double team blocks. But when I get out on the move as a puller, that's where my family and friends, they get to see me out on the football field more often.
Yeah, it's kind of like the rugby days again, being out in the open field and pulling.
Yeah, so take us through what's happening here on this play. Obviously, a lot of it, and I don't think that fans get to see this as much. This play doesn't necessarily happen the way that it happened without Lane kind of influencing this backer before peeling off to his assignment.
Yeah, so we kind of went on a double cadence here and kind of saw the linebacker coming down, so I knew that I had to be ready for him to, plug that gap. Lane's rule, if 49 crosses his face, as Lane's going back to the backside linebacker, then Lane takes him. But because he doesn't, Lane does that little influence to kind of help me out, set me up for a nice, beautiful block.
Talk about what you see here from Lane, because he's another guy that he's going to work up to the second level, and you've got that opportunity to work up against a smaller defender. What have you seen from Lane? Obviously, an athletic offensive lineman just like you that has that ability to do work here up in space.
I mean, look at that. It's beautiful, beautiful work there by Lane. Getting on that push tee and then just going up to the second level and finishing his linebacker. We always talk about finishing in the offensive line, especially in that secondary level. And that's just Lane doing Lane things, man. He's a freak. What
have you learned most from Lane? When you reflect back on your career, a guy that obviously has been here for you since day one, clearly someone who plays with a ton of emotion like yourself as well, as we see on this play.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from Lane is to kind of have patience and also play with heart, man. Lane plays with a lot of heart. That's just the one thing I learned from Lane, having that passion and holding yourself accountable to, if you know you're great and you're performing great and it's backed by the numbers, there's no reason why we should be falling short every week. So that's one thing I learned from him.
When you look at the numbers, the run game obviously has been really productive for you guys here this season. The screen game also really effective, and that started back in week one. A couple of you guys out in space here on this one. Tell us what's going through your mind. You're walking to the line of scrimmage, preparing for a screen where hey, I'm going to release. I've got the ability to go out and really lay a big block here on this play.
Yeah, I remember doing this early in the week during practice, and I kind of screwed up the timing. I went too early one time, and then I went too late the next time. So kind of knew I had to find the sweet spot in the middle, and once I did, I just kind of hit it with full speed. We're supposed to pull flat down the line to try and get that kick-out block. As you can see, 27 doesn't see me coming because of my angle. He has all eyes on Rager, so it kind of is like a nice spot where he can't see me, the blind spot. So yeah, I don't know why. It's like he can't see me. Like it's insane.
You'd think you'd be hard to miss.
Yeah, that's what I think too, but I think he was just doing his job, trying to play the ball and see what the QB's doing.
Another guy that has had so much success in the screen game over the course of his career, Jason Kelce, with his athleticism. Both of you guys, such unique skill sets, and you do it in much different body types. What have you learned most from Jason over the course of your career?
Heart, man. Jason Kelce's got the most heart out of anyone that I know. Just the pure grit that he plays with every week, to have the passion that he has for the game, the love that he has for his teammates. Not many people know, man. Jason Kelce makes everybody right, not just on the O-line. He makes everybody right. Receivers, QBs, tight ends. He's a very smart player. And then when you see the passion and the grit, the heart that he plays with, it's very inspiring. And so one thing I've learned from Jason Kelce is how to be a leader. You see it, it's very infectious, it's inspiring, and I think for me, it's kind of the player I want to embody myself as.
And as you mentioned earlier, always trying to make people right, you could see that he kind of helps out Jack Stoll here up at the play side.
Yeah, look at that. It's just a beautiful curl technique there and just absolutely demolishes. You know, we get taught if you see color, just strike color and then get off.
Interesting. So when you say you see color, for the viewers at home, you're seeing opposing team's color.
Yes.
That once that flashes, then you're
yes,
striking
once that
color.
flashes, give a hand and help. Obviously, Kelsey gives a shoulder and demolishes that dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I'm trying to figure out what are my favorite Jason Kelsey blocks from the season so I can put this into this segment. There are too many. This goes back to week 1, but he does this time and time again where he's releasing up to the second level and just lays these huge hits.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a thing of art. I think his acceleration and his leverage that he gets is just what makes him so powerful. He's able to just bring his hip through on the block and you just see it, he finishes.
When you talk about that athleticism, I mean, so often, guys, you have the ability to get from point A to point B, but then having that athleticism, you've got that as well to be able to track a moving target and stay under control and finish out in space. That's a really, really difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm still trying to learn from Kelsey, just watching his film and then practicing with him. It's just a thing of beauty. You just see how he pulls with speed and control and able to finish. Take 2, like, look at that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's consistent.
Insane.
This goes back years that he's been doing this.
Yeah, the 4 years that I've been here, it's just insane. He does this every year. Look at him, he's trying to go back for more. That's what I mean, that's why I play the way I play now, is because I see things like that for girls, and that stuff fires me up, to be honest.
One guy that you've spent a lot of time with here over these last couple of months is the rookie left guard, Landon Dickerson. And I'm interested to kind of get your thoughts on what you've seen so far from Landon. He is a bigger gentleman like yourself, so some of the things that he's able to do with his body, you're able to kind of share those same kind of qualities.
Yeah, he's just a big oaf, hey. He's a big bopper, he's a big boy. The stuff that he can do physically is just insane. He's athletically gifted as well. And for a guy to have as many injuries as he had, it's amazing how easily he can move, because the dude's playing great. He's playing out of his mind right now and just growing every day.
Just looking at Dickerson here, you get a sense of his raw power, his ability to move defenders, toward guys, get them on the ground. What are you seeing here from Landon here?
Just a manhandling man. Oh my God, that's insane. That's so funny. I feel like I've never seen this clip before. Oh my God, you just see it. Once you get your hands in the inside of the breastplate, it's game over. You get tight hands win the game. And just how strong he is, he's able to just manipulate that dude against his will.
And obviously seeing this from a rookie, it was not that long ago that you were in his shoes, and obviously your journey to the NFL, to being a rookie, much different than his. What are some of the things that you've kind of parted on him? And I'm sure he's given you some things as well.
Oh yeah, Landon's, as much as this is his first year, he's actually pretty wise, man. He's got a lot of words, has said some things that I've never heard before in my life. And I think it's kind of like the PB&J combination, That's what we are, the PB&J combination. Just,
I like it.
You can't have one without the other, man.
Going into this game against Washington, 2 players you had to worry about. Running back Antonio Gibson, we talked about him last week on the show, and wide receiver Terry McLaurin. McLaurin just 2 catches. Gibson 15 carries, 26 yards. How does that feel as a defense when you come in and you knock off those top 2 objectives going into a game?
I feel like you accomplished your goals, right? When the defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, gives out the game plan prior to that week's opponent, he's going to have the X over the best players on offense. And I guarantee when you looked at Washington, they're looking at Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin and saying, guys, we can't allow these 2 players to beat us. And to have the performance they did against Washington, particularly against Gibson, 15 rushes, only 26 yards. I thought the Eagles defense from a front 7 standpoint did an outstanding job, even when they committed the extra guy to the box. And even Terry McLaurin, you got to give him credit. He's a very good receiver in this league. One-on-one coverage out there. Slay is right there on that ball, but he makes a great catch, and that's really the only play he made all night.
I do kind of wonder how many of those similarities we'll see this week as the defense prepares to take on the New York Giants. And for more on that matchup, we're going to go back to Week 12 with Greg Cosell for some enemy intel.
This Philadelphia Eagles defense is very familiar with the Giants offense from a few weeks ago. They played Week 12. It was not a high-scoring game. In fact, the Eagles defense played pretty well. And one of the things that really stood out watching that tape, and I'm sure it will be a factor in this game, is this was in the stretch when the Eagles began playing a lot more man coverage and pressuring a bit more. And that's certainly going to be a factor in this rematch. And the Eagles even showed some zero blitz with all-out pressure, playing pure man behind it with no deep safety. And the Giants executed against that in the second quarter with a pass to John Ross, and that came against zero blitz. But I would imagine you might see the Eagles stay very aggressive in this matchup because that's the way they have been trending all season. A lot more aggression with pressure, a lot more man coverage. And one of the things when you do pressure, very often you can show pressure with your looks, your front looks, your defensive backs, your linebackers. They can show pressure and then they force the offensive line and the quarterback to respond to it. And then if you drop out and you don't come, that can cause some issues for the decision-making process of the quarterback because he's anticipating that he's going to get pressure, he's anticipating that he's going to have to get rid of the ball, and a throw is going to have to be made, and then the throw gets taken away, and then the quarterback gets stuck. So he's going to either have to get sacked or he's going to have to move, and we saw that where Josh Sweat was able to run down the quarterback and hit him as he released the ball for an incompletion. Third down plays, critical parts of this game. The Eagles were very good on third down in the first matchup. The Giants struggled to convert. The money down, the possession down, this is going to be very important in this game, and I would expect the Eagles to both pressure and to show pressure to create some uncertainty, some mental uncertainty for the Giants quarterback.
All right, so as Greg showed there, the threat of the blitz can create some confusion, guys, for the quarterback. But what I love from those plays, especially that last one, like a three-man rush, but you helped create a favorable matchup and how some of these looks, they can dictate to the offense how you want to line up. I thought we saw some good examples last Tuesday night against Washington.
Yeah, and I know the defensive coordinator doesn't want to have or be known to have a certain scheme or what have you, but they're starting to form an identity here. And the simulated pressure packages that we like to use has caused a lot of confusion with the offenses that we faced over the last 6 weeks. Let me give you an example in the last game versus Washington. This also applies in the last game they played against the Giants. We saw some of this, but in the last game against Washington, we're going to get a look here from this Eagles front where you got a 5-man pressure look, right? We got Alex Singleton lined up over the guard here. He wants to draw that block. We got Derek Barnett standing up. You don't know if he's going to rush from the outside or drop back in coverage. At the snap of the ball, this is what the Eagles want to dictate to your offense. They want to get you to draw that center to Javon Hargrave, right? He's lined up over the center. He's going to need help. But you see Alex Singleton backs out of there. Now the guard doesn't know where to go. Meanwhile, Fletcher Cox on the outside is matched up against the rookie right tackle, Sam Cosmi. And that's the matchup that the Eagles wanted to create. You watch Fletcher get pressure around the outside after he first collapses the pocket by forcing the tackle to the back. He gets an arm on the quarterback. He didn't necessarily get the sack, but he certainly got him off of his spot, and more importantly, he forced this hurried throw that led to no one on third down. Eagles get off the field. This is what you want to do as a defense.
Well, welcome back to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. Guys, let's get into our final thoughts here as the Eagles prepare to take on the division rival New York Giants. Mike Quick, take us home here.
Hey, man, it's the NFC East. It's crunch time. You know, they've got 3 games to play, and I heard Fletcher Cox talking last week about the importance of winning in December. They have to make sure that they take care of business in December so that you have an opportunity to play in January.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we seemingly have found our go-to guy in the passing game, and that's Dallas Goedert. I mean, my goodness, him over the last couple of weeks has really shown why the Eagles have the faith that they had in him in extending him, and I can't wait to watch him coming down the stretch. The matchup advantages that he has over some of these linebackers, we need to continue to exploit that. Excited about Dallas Goedert.
You know, I started the show talking about the offensive line. Let's give some love to Jeff Stoutland. They go into this game against Washington down their top 4 guards coming into the season. So you're in there with guard number 5, guard number 6. They don't miss a beat. They keep this rushing attack going. Give some love to Coach Stout, what he's doing along the offensive line. Guys, this is going to be a great matchup, a huge opportunity for this Eagles team. We'll be back right here next week on Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by Pepsi, your official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles.